Can I just break it? I saw a clip of Rachel Maddow I played on my show.
We got it here. We can play it.
It's unbelievable. I've never seen anything like this in my life. I don't. You can't.
Let's play the clip. Let's play the clip, and Jimmy, and you can react.
Right, here we go.
This is Grayzone fan favorite Rachel Maddow talking about her thoughts on diplomacy with Russia.
Yeah.
Was not a meeting of two clashing forces. This was not, Ukraine provoking Russia when they knew they ought not to, but blah, blah, blah. Like the Russian mindset, like people who were like, oh, we need to facilitate peace talks here. Really? I don't know, because it kind of seems like Ukraine was minding its own business and Russia came in and stomped into their house and started setting things on fire. So there's not like a negotiation between the homeowner and the home invader at that point. So the outcome has to be specific to Russia. And we need to do our best to save and to save the Ukrainian people to the extent that they can be saved and protected, and to help the Ukrainian government and military stand up what they need to do to take care of their own people. But Russia needs to lose, because otherwise the lesson of this is that Putin can keep doing this. It's not like this is his first invasion, and it won't be his last.
Independent Americans, yeah. What an idiot. Oh my God.
Peace talks? Really? Peace talks? Really? No, let's keep fucking killing people. With LGBTQ pride.
The stupidest part is that, just Russia just came in and stomped on their house for no reason, and they were just sitting there like they were Palestinians or something.
And isn't it amazing how she has absolutely not one iota of the same vitriol or disgust for our occupation of Syria? Mm-hmm. Right now, we're occupying a country right next door, a third of it. Which part do you think that is? It's the oil part. And she has nothing to say about it. And she's not. So no way can she be that misinformed about what's happening. She knows that about the coup that the CIA instituted. She knows about the bombing of the Donbass. She knows that we've been arming them to do that stuff. She knows what Merkel said, that the whole point of that Minsk agreement was just so Ukraine could build up their military so they could get ready for this. She knows that they'd started increasing the bombing in months before the invasion by double to provoke this. She knows about NATO and the expansion, and she knows about all that. So this isn't her getting it wrong. This is Rachel Maddow showing why she gets $100,000 a day, because she is a psycho crazy maniac who is not it's not her being misinformed. She's informed, and she's willing to do this because there is something wrong with people like that. And we're supposed to be the antidote to that. But people in this country think that they're getting the truth from her because she's gay. And why she wouldn't lie, just like Chris Hayes. He's a nerd. They wouldn't lie. What she just did there was more despicable than anything I've seen Henry Kissinger do, or any someone mocking the idea of a peace talk in the middle of a fucking slaughter. That person is a psychopath who gets paid $100,000 a day to make sure $100 billion in death keeps getting exported to a country that's being used as cannon fodder in an economic war between the United States and Russia. And that's it. End of story. And she's not getting it wrong. And that is unbelievable. She's not going to get canceled for that.
Jimmy, Henry Kissinger ordered genocide in Cambodia and Vietnam, and orchestrated coups in Chile. So I can't say that Maddow's more despicable.
That's not. No, I meant anything he said on TV about.
Gotcha. Okay, gotcha.
No, on this war, the mass murderer Henry Kissinger has made.
She's worse than Pol Pot, and you know it. He is worse than Pol Pot and Hitler put together.
I'm glad you did that, Aaron. So some Radlib dweebs don't clip this out.
Oh, do like an hour-long segment about it. And when she talks about Ukraine, which is minding its own business, but I'm not sure she knows about what the Donbass even is, or what the Minsk Accords are. The peace treaty. I'm not sure she knows that. I think she's paid not to know what that is. I wouldn't assume that. I mean, they're really
I'm a Rhodes Scholar from Oxford, so I
know. And of course, she doesn't. She like the Maidan coup. I mean, these people are certainly paid to completely erase that history. That's what they're paid for.
When I when I get on stage in front of crowds of people who don't know me, which I do, I just did last night here in Burbank, and that's a very, blue collar kind of a crowd. And I'll say the joke, I'll say, hey, the people who lied about Iraq and then lied about Libya and then 20 years lied about, and then lied about, I bet they're telling the truth about what's happening in Ukraine, and everybody laughs.
Yeah,
they know that just right there. So the fact that regular people who have jobs and real lives know more about this and are more skeptical than Rachel Maddow, who's paid to know about this, I'm sorry, that's just a psychopath. Who's worse than Stalin, Hitler, and Pol Pot put together.
Well, speaking of progressive proxy warriors, we got one more clip for you, Jimmy. This is Matt Duss, who's the former foreign policy advisor of Bernie Sanders. He bought into Russiagate, bought into the Ukraine proxy war. So now he's comfortably perched at the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace. A big Washington,
but I think he played a role in helping drive it as a member of Bernie's staff.
Yeah, he helped Bernie get Russiagated. He took part in that. So this is him on Democracy Now! This week, sharing his thoughts on Biden's policy in Ukraine.
Matt Duss, your assessment of U.S. policy when it comes to Ukraine.
I think actually the president's, version of it there, it tracks with the facts. I think the administration, as my colleague Stephen and I wrote in the piece that you referenced, the way the president has helped manage alliances and partnerships in response to Russia's invasion of last February, I think has been impressive. I think it shows a way of practicing U.S. leadership that forges consensus and then mobilizes that consensus. I mean, the war obviously is devastating. It is ongoing. We would like to see the war end as soon as possible, but I think being realistic about when that is possible is part of the challenge we face right now. I think Putin has given no evidence whatsoever that he's interested in a workable resolution of this conflict. I think he and the Russians and the Ukrainians at this point both seem to believe that they can continue to achieve their goals through military means. So for the time being, I think the administration's theory of the case is sound, which is that they'll continue to support Ukraine's defense to create the best possible moment or the best possible environment for negotiations when that becomes possible.
Matt Duss.
It's like they're just observing the Biden administration. They're just observing and trying to find the right time to make peace. But right now, it's just not the right time. He makes it seem like they're bystanders. And in Democracy Now!, it's like MSNBC with even bigger losers who think the same thing.
And going back to the discussion before, this is what's happened to the left. This is the left right now. Our major leftist institutions have been totally neutralized and duped into parroting the propaganda they used to challenge. Like, having worked at Democracy Now! And grown up on it, it's unrecognizable when it does stuff like this. And what's funny about Matt Duss's comments about how Russia's not interested in a workable solution and Biden's had this amazing leadership. He was saying this just a couple of days after the former Prime Minister of Israel, Naftali Bennett, became the latest NATO ally to admit that the U.S. blocked peace talks, that he helped broker a compromise where both sides made concessions. Zelensky agreed that Ukraine wouldn't join NATO. Russia agreed that it would abandon its goal of denazification and would not oust Zelensky from power. And he said they were very, very close, but he said the West, and he means the US and UK, blocked it. Now, Bennett says he agreed with that decision. He thought it was legitimate. But the point is, he admitted that. And that's the latest source we've gotten to confirm that the US blocked peace talks very early in this war. So could have avoided all this bloodshed. So he's a complete revisionist who's ignoring that history. That's because he's a proxy war supporter. And that is where the left is at right now in so many I don't know what to say, because Democracy Now! Doesn't matter the way it used to anymore. It doesn't, because people realize that it's become a shadow of itself. But in terms of the establishment leftist outlets, this is now the prevailing view.
Jimmy,
what could possibly what could you ever imagine a scenario where you would mock peace talks?
Yeah.
What is that? What is peace? Fuck you. You got to kill some more motherfuckers. I mean, that is, I can't, I'm like a loss for words. You can't overstate how crazy that. Can you ever imagine a scenario where you would mock peace talks? And She's supposed to care about people or human. She's supposed to have a shred of humanity. She just mocked peace talks in a slaughter of Ukrainians. That's what's happening. And she's mocking stopping that.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, their idea of victory is never defined. Biden sort of defined it when he spoke in Poland and said, this man must go. Remove this man from power. He's talking about regime change in Moscow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which would lead to the dissolution of the Russian state, because it wouldn't just mean removing Vladimir Putin. It would be removing an entire apparatus that is dedicated to one thing above all else, which is stability, sort of like in Syria. And Russia would be balkanized. It would possibly be split into 5. And that is something that Ukrainian leadership has explicitly called for in their definition of victory. And you have figures like Michael McFaul, who are constantly encouraging the Ukrainians to forge ahead, throwing thousands and thousands of not just young men, but old men into the teeth of artillery instead of negotiating, because victory means total victory, means the destruction of Russia. So that's never defined. And then peace negotiations are never, whenever they talk about peace, they mock it, but they never talk about actual concrete negotiations that have taken place and what actually happened there. We're talking about the Minsk Accords, Aaron.
Yeah.
The reason this war is taking place is because the Minsk Accords were never taken seriously and were exploited by Ukraine's Western sponsors to militarize it and arm it and prepare it for a war, as Angela Merkel, former German chancellor, said. Jimmy, I see you're waving. You gotta get out of here.
Yeah. But thanks for
any closing words?
I'll see you at the war rally, February 19th.